Hello, people. I am Civil20, and this is going to be something a little bit different from what I normally do. I have a good friend of mine here with me right now. His name is James Maxx. I'll let him say something.
Hello.
And we are basically going to look at SummerSlam, the pay-per-view that is coming out for WWE with
This
its
Sunday.
this Sunday with its mighty, godly, incredible 4 matches on the card. So we're going to take a look at the matches and give our predictions and then talk some other BS along the way. So which match do you want to talk about first? Sheamus, Mark Henry, or the Divas match?
I think first we have to start talking about the matches that aren't on the card that could potentially be on the card. I think
Alright.
because 4 matches doesn't cut it. What my assumption, there's two things that could be going on. One is that WWE could have, like with Ezekiel Jackson losing the title on Friday.
Spoilers!
Well, this thing's not gonna be posted until after SmackDown anyway, so how
Yeah.
is it a spoiler?
I know. Because
Yeah,
it's
but
a spoiler because we're recording this on Wednesday.
yes. We should pretend it's live. We should trick everybody.
Yes, welcome to live SmackDown results. If you didn't want to hear it, too bad, suckers.
All right. Well, Ezekiel Jackson. My assumption here, what could be going on with this, is that maybe WWE is releasing Ezekiel Jackson. Why are they releasing him? I have no clue. But maybe they are. Maybe, just maybe, they're releasing Ezekiel Jackson.
Why?
I don't know. Because I think that WWE is making a big change on their roster. One reason could be releasing people like Ezekiel Jackson. Perhaps. No. Your AIM connection to Facebook has been lost. Great. All right. Whatever.
That is irrelevant.
Oh yeah, I know that's not relevant. I just saw that.
Go on.
All right. One thing that could be happening is that WWE could be releasing a bunch of people. Maybe they're planning to unify the rosters again somehow. That could be one idea, that they're going to start unifying the belts off,
Oh
and
God.
this is just a test to see this whole WWE Champion match. SummerSlam is just a test, testing the waters to see if people are really into the unification. I don't know, that could be one thing. Another thing is that they have a lot of guys in FCW. They have a lot of guys, and a lot of them are ready to be called up. And they're just waiting, but there's no space in the roster because there's so many people there. They got guys who are already on the roster who aren't even competing because there's so much space being taken up. Like Brodus Clay, for instance.
Yeah.
He's on the roster. He hasn't been used in a while. They're waiting to use him. But guys like Jackson are taking up space. Jackson, to me, hasn't really... He's very stiff in the ring. He doesn't really have what I think he needs to get to the next level. The same thing with Jinder Mahal. He's another guy who I think is wasting space on the roster. I think both of them need to be canned, and I know it sucks to lose their jobs, for people to lose jobs, especially in this economy at this time, but I just don't think he has it. I don't think either of them have it. So,
Well, you don't necessarily have to straight out fire them. What you could do is
well,
like
you
put
can send
them.
them back to FCW to train them some more, package them somehow.
Yeah, that's
That
what I was
could
gonna
work.
say.
Or like you brought up to me a while back, maybe Zeke needs to be turned back into a heel to see what happens there. Maybe because it seemed to me he was a little bit more interesting as a heel than he is as a face. So
Definitely.
perhaps as a monster heel, because to me, him as a standalone monster heel doesn't work. I think he needs to be someone's enforcer.
Hmm.
He needs to find somebody to be the enforcer of. I just don't see anybody on the current roster at the moment who really needs an enforcer. Like anybody they're trying to push who needs to get an enforcer. Maybe Alberto Del Rio could use it, but I don't
Yeah, I
know.
was about to say maybe ADR or Ted DiBiase. If
Ted DiBiase,
not Ted,
no,
I meant Cody
he's doing
Rhodes. I
this
meant
stuff
Cody
with
Rhodes.
Cody right now.
I meant Cody Rhodes. I mean, let's face it. Ezekiel Jackson is a lot more intimidating than Ted DiBiase.
Well, he is, but somebody needs an enforcer of some sorts. I don't know who right now, but I guess they'll figure it out as time goes on. I don't know, maybe R-Truth could use him. I don't know.
No,
Miz
not our
perhaps.
truth.
Uh, another. All right, now let's go back to SummerSlam. Um, the matches that could be happening is one. We could see Cody Rhodes and Ezekiel Jackson going in a rematch. Because they might be taking a page from UFC. Because UFC generally announces like maybe 2 or 3 matches on the card, and then they just have a bunch of other matches happening during it. A bunch of other preliminary matches and whatnot. And they don't usually announce those matches to build the pay-per-view. They just announce like 3 or 4 of them, and then they go on. Maybe WWE is testing the waters here with SummerSlam to because of maybe they believe Punk versus Cena is enough to get people to buy the pay-per-view, that maybe they're going to test the waters and try this new idea where they only announce 4 major matches and then a bunch of others will happen as it goes on. They tried this a couple of years ago with December to Dismember, as you remember. They announced, I think, 2 matches. They announced the Elimination Chamber and they announced the Hardy Boys versus Eminem. And it wasn't. And the problem is with that pay-per-view, it ended in 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to be a 3 hour pay-per-view, which ended 2 hours, and a lot of people were upset because they paid full price for it. It wasn't like it was a budget price where they would save money. It wasn't. It was a 2 hour show. It was like a 2 hour commercial-free Raw, basically. So
I was about to say, I thought that ended in a train wreck, and you just proved me right.
and it did, yeah, it did. It was a horrible show, and I don't know if this is going to be the same way. Maybe they're just trying to test because it's the Triple H era. Maybe they want it to feel more like the Triple H era, where he's just going to be making matches as we go along. That could be the case.
Yeah, but even
Maybe they'll announce matches at SummerSlam Access. When they announce the WWE 12 roster, revealed this Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific.
yeah, but
So they could be announcing more matches then.
even if you wanted to test the waters for something like this, SummerSlam really is not the best pay-per-view to do it. It's like your second biggest pay-per-view, and for you to take a huge gamble like this, you could destroy the SummerSlam image very easily if it fails. And I
Yeah,
really don't
so
think that this was the pay-per-view to do it.
they need to have a very. If they're gonna do this, then they better have a very strong lineup that they're not announcing. They gotta have something strong. My opinion, if I was the booker, and I know that WWE's probably not gonna use these ideas, but if I was the booker, if I was the one making the matches, I would have Alberto Del Rio defend his Money in the Bank briefcase in a scramble match, a match we haven't seen in a while, which would be interesting. Then there's 4 other competitors with him, and there's that timing thing. So it would be him versus who I would pick: John Morrison, R-Truth, Kofi Kingston, and The Miz. I wouldn't pick Mysterio because, number one, he's getting a title shot the next night against whoever wins Cena versus Punk. That's number one. Number two,
Yep.
he actually has an injury, so it's better if they keep him off the pay-per-view. Or they can bring him on the pay-per-view just for a backstage interview or something to talk about who he thinks will win the title or whatnot.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Yeah, that could be probably what they'll do at the most, but I don't think he should compete until he has to compete, which is probably Monday in San Diego. So,
Mm-hmm.
what I think they should do is that match, that scramble match. I think they need to have the Intercontinental title on the line, Dolph Ziggler defending against Alex Riley, because they pushed it for 2 weeks, and it might not be a very strong match, but they got to do it. I think they should also do some sort of a tag team turmoil thing. David Otunga and Michael McGillicuddy should defend the title against maybe 2 other tag teams or 3 other tag teams, and we should probably have new tag champions if they do that, because I don't
Probably
think
the Usos.
Otunga and McGillicuddy have it. I think that McGillicuddy needs to go back to FCW because, as Chris Masters said in his post-release interview, McGillicuddy has 2 left feet, and not McGillicuddy, Otunga. I'm sorry, Otunga has 2 left feet. I completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
McGillicuddy, he's solid in the ring. He's very solid in the ring.
Yeah.
The problem is he's bland as a character, and despite being the son of Mr. Perfect, which is probably why they haven't given him the name Mr. Perfect because he's not like Mr. Perfect. He can't cut a promo to save his life, as you saw with NXT Season 2, which was probably the biggest train wreck I've seen in 2010. It probably would be called the 2010 train wreck of the year in terms of something bad that happened. he was not very good there. He's a solid wrestler, but I only see him as a guy competing on like superstars, putting over other guys.
Hmm.
That's what I really see. Same thing with Heath Slater. Slater is a solid hand. He can help people get over, but he'll never be a star, in my opinion.
Hmm. Shame for someone with the moniker One Man Rock Band.
One man Southern rock band now, it seems.
That's even worse.
And let me see. Drew McIntyre hasn't done anything in a while. This is someone who should be at the forefront. He has a talent. It shouldn't be Otunga and McGillicuddy. It should be like Drew McIntyre and I guess someone else. I'm thinking Tyler Rex. He's not doing anything either, and he's a heel, and he could probably get some stuff done. Him and McIntyre are two big dudes who could probably get stuff done in the ring, and maybe
McIntyre's not big.
Well, McIntyre is a pretty tall dude. He's like, what, 6'4", maybe?
Maybe.
He's pretty strong, so I think Rex is probably taller than him, maybe at 6'6". So I think they would probably be a pretty cool tag team. This is just me, and as for the SmackDown brand, if they were to do that tag team turmoil thing, I would have to say it would be Otunga and McGillicuddy versus the Usos versus Zack Ryder and someone else. I'd say Kurt Hawkins. They should bring them back together. Hawkins and Ryder. Hawkins, he's doing stuff with the Long Island IC online show.
Yeah.
So he should team up with him. They should turn Hawkins face, have him team up with Ryder again, bring them back into the forefront. And if they were to pick a fourth team, I can't really see who they would pick as a logical fourth team at the moment, because there really aren't that many. Like Santino and somebody, I guess, because Kozlov is gone. So Santino and somebody, I don't know who, but maybe he could team up with somebody and get put in there. But for me, Santino, his whole thing it's over. It's done. He needs to try something new now. Because I can't even say he's a solid wrestler. He does well enough, but I don't think he'll ever be taken seriously or ever really get far if he doesn't try something new at this point. But I think that maybe 3 teams would be enough for a tag team turmoil. And perhaps they should give the titles to either the Usos or Hawkins and Ryder. I don't know, maybe them or the Usos, I don't know. But they need to get new tag champions, because Otunga and McGillicuddy need to go back to FCW. Definitely Otunga. McGillicuddy could just do stuff on Superstars and get away with it, but Otunga, he needs to go. And the thing is with Otunga, it's WWE's fault. He wasn't ready to be called up, but because he's the husband of Jennifer Hudson, he gets called up quickly. Mm-hmm. And he hasn't gotten any better because of the schedule of WWE, because he's on the road so much. He hasn't had time to really develop his craft. He needs to go back to FCW and just try to get better.
Yeah.
That's what I see. Alright, next up. As for those matches, let me see, the Intercontinental title, I already mentioned, it should be a rematch.
United States Championship you mentioned. You already mentioned the tag titles.
Yeah, and those would be 3 matches they should add in. And the Money in the Bank matches, Bryan versus Barrett, I think needs to happen for the Money in the Bank briefcase. And what I think they need to do is shocker. I think they need to have Barrett win it and have Bryan try to get it back for like a Night of Champions or something. They need to do something like that. Have Barrett take it in some. What I also think is Barrett needs to have somebody who works for him, so to speak. I think that maybe Heath Slater should reunite with Barrett and become his lackey and help him in the briefcase.
No, let Barrett be on his own for a while. Let's see how he does as a solo person. I've seen enough of him with groups or someone working with him.
But he could use an enforcer, I think. Maybe Brodus Clay, because Brodus Clay was a former bodyguard. It could be him. Maybe Ezekiel. Oh no, Ezekiel Jackson doesn't like Barrett. So
James.
Yes.
Wade Barrett is being billed as a bare knuckles champion, as someone who could take care of himself. Why in God's green earth would someone like that need an enforcer when his own two fists are good enough
All right,
for him to take
good
care of
points.
himself?
But to him to beat, for him to beat, for him to beat Brian, he would have to use underhanded tactics anyway. So,
Underhanded tactics, sure, but he doesn't need an enforcer, and he
well, he is already a
certainly
big guy. He could be someone's enforcer at his
he,
size. So, yeah, you have a good point. Yeah, I think, yeah.
that would be a very stupid move to give him an enforcer with the way that he's being billed.
I think we need to have Barrett win the Money in the Bank briefcase and say he's going to WrestleMania. And what I think needs to happen for a while is the briefcase needs to jump between multiple people, to see basically so everybody's like, who's going to actually be the one to finally cash it in? We need
Hmm.
to see also some false cash-ins. Like Barrett's like, I'm not going to wait. I'm going to cash it tonight. He goes out, he gets attacked by Brian,
Hmm.
cashing over, and then someone else could win the case, like Justin Gabriel. He's like, I'm gonna go cash it in. He goes to try to cash it in, someone else stops it. Sheamus wins it. It just needs to go all around. Mark Henry will end up winning the case and say like, now he's gonna win it. And then I guess a bunch of people come out and just beat down Mark Henry to stop him from doing it,
Oh,
and then
do
he has to
not give
defend the
it to
case.
Henry.
Sorry?
Do not give it to Henry. He's nowhere near ready.
Okay, maybe you're right. But all right, well, all right, maybe I jumped the gun a little bit by saying too many different people. But I do think it should be exchanged between Baron and Brian for a while. It should be both of them exchanging it for a while, because then you're not sure who's actually going to be the one to cash it in.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's what needs to happen for a while. And as for the actual SummerSlam matches now, because I already mentioned three, they would be that the other four. That would be about 7 matches, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, no, I mentioned 5 actually. Yeah, 2 title matches, 2 briefcase matches, and the tag titles. That's about 5. 9 matches. Yeah, that's average for some pay-per-views.
Yep.
For the other 4 matches now, for the actual announced matches, we'll start with the Divas match: Kelly versus Beth. Divas Championship. I think what needs to
Well,
happen.
I was about to say, first off, before you say who you think is going to win, what do you think about the build-up to the match?
I think that right now all the attention is on Beth, not Kelly, because I don't think Kelly's a very good champion. I don't think she deserved the title. I don't think she's ready for the title. I think that there are people in the company right now who are much better in the ring. Even some of the NXT Season 3 rookie divas, as they call them,
Hmm.
who are better in the ring or have better character. Like, for instance, Maurice, when she was champion, she wasn't very good in the ring. Her character was enough to make her a solid heel for any face to go after. So I
Yeah.
thought that worked because she didn't really compete that much. And when she did, she just used a lot of underhanded tactics with help. So a lot of the character covered up her in-ring flaws. Kelly is a bland character. She is basically what they've been shilling to the audience for the last 10 years. The Tori Wilson was this kind of character. Sonny was this kind of character. There's really you can't differentiate them. And that's the problem. Kelly I think needs a heel turn. I think she needs to become a bit of a slutty character, something different, something, because, I mean, you heard what Orton said in that radio interview, what he said about Kelly. I think they should capitalize on that, turn Kelly into a man-eater. Turn her into somebody who basically aligns herself with different powerful guys in the company, different heels, trying to see if she can get herself to the top that way. I think that's what she needs to do. Going from heel to heel, like someone like Barrett, and then Barrett can get the job done. She goes to someone else, and it shouldn't be about like, oh, this is just like sex, because obviously this is PG. She needs to go to people who she thinks are going to be champions, so that she can ride their coattails all the way to being at the top, to being someone who's talked about a lot. But I don't think WWE wants to do it because for some reason WWE wants to keep her the way she is. But I don't think she's going to get anywhere that way.
Hmm.
The Bella Twins to me were very uninteresting until they became heels. That's what I see. I think Beth needs to be considered to be a face because truth is, the fans are gonna, according to SmackDown spoilers, the fans actually cheered Beth and Natalia.
Yep.
So I think they should be considered faces. I think Kelly and Eve and a lot of these other models should be considered heels, and they should be considered as people who feel better than the actual wrestlers because they feel that they're better looking and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And that they should be champion. They should be at the forefront. They should be in the magazine covers, and they should make fun of Beth and say that you're not pretty enough to do this, do that. I think that would work. As for other girls like Caitlyn, she's someone who I think really wants to actually get better.
Yeah.
And for Kelly, I think that when she came in, I don't think she really wants to get better. I think she just likes traveling and she likes being in front of a crowd. But Caitlyn, she seems to be someone who's probably an overachiever who likes to be good at whatever she does. So I think she has a chance of actually following Trish's career path. Trish came in, she was just a model they hired, who had no wrestling experience, nothing, who sucked early on, but she wanted to get better, and she did, and now she's probably one of the greatest divas of all time.
Yeah.
So we can see Caitlyn going on that path. AJ, I think, has enough talent to actually become a champion. She has it. Naomi from NXT Season 3, she was the best overall diva I've ever seen. Nothing against, like Trish and stuff. Trish was great, but Naomi could do things that I never saw any female wrestler do. So I think she's someone they need to call up. And the fact they haven't called her up is a travesty. Let me see. Alicia Fox, she hasn't gotten any better. She's at the same level she was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. She's Alicia Fox. She should be, in my opinion, a heel here, along with some of the other divas like, Rosa Mendez. She's a model who isn't very good, and I think she should stay a heel. Who thinks that she should be, in the forefront. Tamina should be a face at this point, because she's a straight-up wrestler. She knows how to wrestle and such, so I think she should be at the forefront. But yeah, but now going back to who I think is going to be the champion in terms of build-up first. Like I said, I think Beth Phoenix has all the strength on her, and I hope she wins. If Kelly wins, that's going to be the stupidest victory I've ever seen, because I can't honestly believe Kelly can beat Beth. And if they have her beat her in some way, shape, or form, it's not going to make any sense. If they do something smarter, where they have Kelly retain the title by disqualification, by hitting her, by doing something illegal, that will be good. That would be smart. I would accept that. But for her to actually cleanly beat, or if she uses the ropes to win, let's say she uses the ropes to win, uses underhanded tactics, that would be another shocking way for her to get the victory. I can believe that, but for her to beat her straight up with just her little finisher, her little leg drop bulldog finisher pin and get the victory, no, I can't see that. It's Beth all the way. My money's on Beth.
You could have said the same thing about CM Punk last month, but what happened? He beat Cena cleanly.
He beat Cena cleanly, and it was an incredible thing. And I think Cena well, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, we'll get to that when we get to that match. But
yeah, next up, I would say Sheamus versus Henry.
Hang on, I gotta get my thoughts on who's gonna win. Beth versus Kelly.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I actually am thinking that Kelly will retain, but I think the only way it's going to happen is for Eve to get involved and screw Beth out of the victory. I think that's another way they could do it, to turn both of them heel.
That could work. That could work, but Natalya is going to be right there alongside her, so yeah.
Natalya's in Beth's corner?
She might be there, because on SmackDown, they're going to be in a tag team match against AJ and Caitlyn. So you might see this happen, where Natalya will be there. What I think we need to see is an all-diva Nexus type of faction.
Oh, boy.
But they shouldn't be the Nexus. They shouldn't have a group thing. They should just be girls, divas, who feel that they're underappreciated, they're real wrestlers, and yet they're not at the forefront where they should be. Beth, Natalya, Tamina, and I think the fourth one should be when she comes back, Karma at some point should come in and join this group. The Bellas, I think, should stay heels because they are models who turned into wrestlers, and I think they should believe that they're better than the other girls. It's like Eve. Layla, she was a model, but I think she became a really good wrestler, so I think she would have to be one of the faces here, along with Beth and such. AJ, And Caitlyn, I think, should actually face this year as well. I think because AJ, I think, has a lot to prove as a wrestler. I think she's really good. I think Caitlyn, she's gonna get better. I think it'll take time, but she's gonna get better. But I think she should be involved here too and join the Beth and such.
Hmm.
She just said that she actually wants to be better, unlike the other ones who just want to take pictures and be modeling and blah blah blah. And that's the hard truth about it.
Yep.
Now,
Sheamus versus Mark Henry, unless you're done.
no, let's talk about Sheamus for a second.
What do you think of the build-up?
The build-up, not as strong as it should have been. I think Mark Henry has a lot of steam on him because of him taking out Kane and Big Show. I don't think Kane and Big Show are going to be coming back at SummerSlam. Absolutely not.
No, well, Kane might, but definitely not Big Show.
I don't think Kane's going to be coming back either. I think Sheamus versus Henry, it doesn't have enough strong build to me. But it is two big guys who can. But I think might be a vehicle to help Sheamus become a full face. I think.
Yep.
But Sheamus versus Henry, it can go either way because Henry has been doing pretty well. But I do think that they need to follow what Big Show and Henry did in terms of having because I expected when I saw the match at Money in the Bank, I expected it to be a slow, clunky match between two big guys going really slow punches. But they actually went balls to the wall. You saw Big Show doing a diving move off the top rope, which you never see him do.
Yeah.
You saw them jumping around and such. This is what Henry and Sheamus need to do. They need to have a fast-paced match, and it shouldn't be too long. We shouldn't see a lot of rest holds here. These are two big guys who are trying to destroy each other. So that's what they need to act like. What I think is going to happen is probably going to end up at some sort of a disqualification. I don't think we're going to have any straight-out victory here. Mark Henry's not going to be Sheamus. It's not going to be Mark Henry. It's going to probably be either a double count-out, double disqualification. The match will get thrown out. The match might just get thrown out. It'll be a no contest. Something's going to happen where both of them are going to end up brawling a lot. Weapons are going to get involved, and then it's going to beat that crap out of each other. And and Mark Henry will probably leave the ring, and Sheamus will just stand tall in the ring. Meaning the feud's not over yet. It'll probably continue after Night of Champions because I don't see how, if it's not a champions, a non-title match is going to happen unless it's number one contenders. I don't know. But maybe we will see Mark Henry versus Sheamus in a number one contenders match in Night of Champions. We can see that. And we might have a clean victory there. What are your thoughts on it?
I agree with you that the build-up was not that good, but I do like what Sheamus has been doing in these promos leading up to the match. I think the promo he did last week, where he was talking about why he's not backing down from Mark Henry, simply being because he's Irish, I found that kind of funny. So I like that. As for who I think is going to win, I definitely see your point. I think it could very easily be some sort of no contest, but if someone had to win cleanly, I would probably have to go with Henry. I think Sheamus would put in a hell of an effort, but Henry would use some sort of heel tactic to win.
Very possible that he might, because Henry hasn't used any heel tactics to win because he didn't need to, but he might have to. But you have a good point there.
I would not mind seeing a heel tactic. I probably would rather prefer the no contest ending, but if it had to end in one person beating the other, I think logically it would have to be Mark Henry, given how much momentum he has. As good as Sheamus is, I cannot see him derailing Henry in one try. I think it would take more than one effort. I think Mark Henry would have to win the first match using a heel tactic, and then in their rematch, Sheamus beats Henry, and then they have a third match that determines the feud.
Well, that could happen. Another thing that could happen is that Sheamus embarrasses Henry, leaving Henry to walk out of the match and ending in a count-out with Sheamus getting the victory. And on SmackDown, Henry gets his revenge by attacking Sheamus and beating the hell out of him.
Yeah.
You might see that happen. That's very possible.
That is another possibility. Anything else you want to add to this or no?
I think we pretty much hit the nail on the head with it. So let's move on to Christian versus Randy Orton. No holds barred for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Christian Orton, God knows what number this is, but
They
this
have
has to be the last match.
it probably is, and unfortunately, I think Randy Orton's going to take it. I can't see Christian beating Randy Orton, no holds barred, straight up. I can't see it happening. Not even with weapons, nothing. I don't see it happening at all. Not unless Edge returned as a heel, and he wouldn't return. He can't return at this point. One possibility is that Christian gets a. Remember, I said someone needed an enforcer. Christian might get that enforcer I was talking about. And we might see Brodus Clay getting, because he's on the SmackDown roster. He was an enforcer for Del Rio. Del Rio is no longer on the roster. He has been only competing on Superstars.
Yeah.
So we might see Brodus Clay becoming Christian's enforcer. Because they were both at WrestleMania. They weren't competing, but they did have a scuffle at WrestleMania and at Extreme Rules, where Christian busted Brodus Clay open hard. He's been out ever since. So we could say Brodus Clay respects Christian because of that. So he's like Christian's new enforcer now. So we might see Brodus Clay come out, make an impact, take down Randy Orton, and help Christian get the victory. And at that point, if that happens, I believe then that means Sheamus would have to embarrass Henry and probably get the victory in some way, shape, or form, probably by the count out, and then we might see Christian versus Sheamus at Night of Champions for the title. We might see that happen.
What do you think about the build-up leading to this match?
I think because of every match they've had months of build-up. I think it's a really strong build-up. I think the build-up is on Orton's side because he has taken down guys like R-Truth on the table, and he's a very dangerous guy, and especially in a match like this, he's very dangerous. So I think that there's a good chance that if Orton does win, Christian's going to get his head punted in, and Christian's probably going to be gone for a while. I also believe that we're going to see, like I said, if Christian does win, it's going to be with help. And I think that help is going to come in the form of either Brodus Clay or Ezekiel Jackson turning back into a heel.
Yeah,
you
but
might see that
why?
happen. Maybe Mark Henry becomes an enforcer, but I can't see that happen. I see Mark Henry wanting, because Henry, he's been in the company since 1996.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said to you once before in the chat, what has Mark Henry actually accomplished over the last, 1996, 2006, that's like 10 years, 15 years. What has he accomplished in the last 15 years in the WWE? Nothing really.
He's only won titles that are no longer active.
Yeah, he won the ECW title, and he had a decent reign, not active anymore. Who's going to remember that? Because he was on ECW, a show that was watched less than SmackDown and Raw. And he won the European title. I don't even remember when he won it. He won it at the time before I started watching. That's obviously a forgettable reign because fans today are not going to know this. He only won it once. He never won the tag titles. He hasn't won anything major. So I don't see him becoming an enforcer. I see him trying to do things for himself, trying to finally win the big one for himself, and I think that he is the closest he's ever been to actually winning it. But I also think that we might see Mark Henry and Randy Orton in a collision of some sort. A one-on-one collision, probably not for the title. If they do collide, it will probably be Orton and Mark Henry one-on-one in to see maybe number one contendership, because we might see Sheamus facing Christian if Christian wins, and he has like Brodus Clay as his manager, as his enforcer, or Ezekiel Jackson as his enforcer. But we'll see what happens here. It's gonna be one of them, because I don't see Christian winning on his own. I can't see Christian winning on his own at all. Yeah. What are your thoughts here?
I'm gonna have to be extremely biased here because I do not want Orton holding the title. As good as he is right now, I've seen it to death. Orton as champion is very boring to me. And also because of how messed up Christian's first reign was, I want to see him hold the title for longer than just 1 month. So, based on that, I have to say Christian's going to retain, but you're right. It is going to be with help. If he's going to win it all, he cannot beat Orton on his own. I mean, he was only able to win the title because of a DQ victory, which was screwed up in the first place, but it worked for his heel character. It worked for the intelligence that he has, and he's going to have to use that intelligence again and hire an enforcer just to retain the title. And that enforcer is probably going to help him keep it for a few months, and then he's going to lose it eventually, probably to someone like Sheamus.
Yeah, most likely it'll be Sheamus who takes the title. Maybe Sheamus might take it all the way to Mania. I don't know. But
No. That would not be good.
yeah. Well, I do hope to see Christian. Maybe somehow, some way, Christian will take the title to Mania. I would like to see that. I like to see him take it to Mania, take on someone like Daniel Bryan, but I don't know. But Sheamus and Wade Barrett might end up facing at Mania for the title if Barrett is able to take the Money in the Bank briefcase from Bryan. But then that would also mean Bryan might turn heel, or they're gonna move Bryan to Raw, have him join some group with CM Punk, another group with like a bunch of former Ring of Honor guys, probably.
Hmm.
If Kaval was still in the company, I'd say he'd be part of this, but he left. He chose to leave, so.
Yeah.
Somebody could always contact him to see if you're interested in it, but I don't know if he is. Maybe he might be afraid to. He might think that once that's over, what's going to happen to him? He's a small guy. They're going to just job him out again?
Yeah.
That's a damn shame, because he's very talented, and yet guys like David Otunga, him and MVP should have been tag team champions.
Cabal and MVP?
MVP and Kaval should have been tag team champions. They were good friends. They knew each other for a long time from the indie days when MVP was in the indies. They could have been tag team champions and been really successful tag team champions. But they decided to give the titles to Otunga and McGillicuddy, and that was a really bad idea. I do think the next feud that Cody Rhodes has after, because I don't see Jackson winning it back. Jackson, he wasn't over at all. He didn't get fan support. He got nothing. I think his next feud for the title will either be against Sin Cara, which I hope it's not, because I don't like Sin Cara very much, and I don't think he's very good. One guy I think it could be is Justin Gabriel. I think
Gabriel's
it's him,
not ready yet.
Him, Gabriel, or Daniel Bryan. Despite the case, we might see Daniel Bryan go after it, because what we could see is Bryan losing the case to Wade Barrett, Barrett holding the case for a couple of months, and Bryan could get an IC title reign during that time. Cody Rhodes takes it back. Then later, Bryan could go after Barrett and win back the case. You could see that.
You could.
Now let's go to the main event. Here's one thing. I think we're going to see, before I talk about that, I think we're going to see a Diva Battle Royal of some sort. I think it's going to be during the CeeLo Green performance, kind of like at WrestleMania with Kid Rock. Not this year, I think it was last year. WrestleMania with Kid Rock, where all the Divas came out, and they had a over-the-top battle royal between all the Divas, and it was during the Kid Rock performance. That was a horrible, horrible thing. It was a waste of time. Ugh.
Which makes me wonder why they would want to do it again.
They might do it again with CeeLo Green. Like, while he's singing, you might see the Divas walk out and then have some sort of over-the-top battle royal, and we'll see who wins.
Which would be boring as fuck.
And if anybody wins, I'm not sure who's going to win. Maybe someone will debut. I don't know. But somebody will win, and when that person wins, they'll maybe get a shot in the future. I don't know. Or maybe it won't even matter, because I don't know, because WWE doesn't know what they're doing with the Divas. They need to do something with them, because they have some talented Divas. They need to do something. They need to get rid of all the other crap that's in there, too.
It's probably going to be very bad for me to say this, but I think TNA has a better Divas division than WWE.
They do, in terms of a lot of the people there, but they also have they have worse booking than WWE, I would say.
Well, that I agree with, but the Divas division, they have Divas Tag Team Championships, for Christ's sake.
TNA has a brilliant roster. They don't need a tag team title. Diva tag team titles, that's a waste. They don't need it. They should unify those belts with the women's belt. They don't need Diva Tag Team Championships. You don't need X Division Tag Team Championships. You only need one Tag Team Championship. The Divas division, or the Knockouts division in TNA, as they call the Knockouts, their division is not the same. Not ever since Gail Kim left and Kong left, or Karma as he's known as now.
Yep.
And a few other people left the division. Trying to think of some names. Can't recall them. I think it was like Alyssa Flash and a few other girls like ODB and whatnot. ODB's back there now, but ever since a lot of these girls left, it hasn't been the same, and it isn't. Even with Mickie James there, it's not the same because they don't have that monster heel, which really resonated with the fans, which really was good because you had someone against her, and Gail Kim did well against her. I don't know, the whole Gail Kim thing. Speaking of that Gail Kim thing, I don't know. Like I said before to you, I think Gail Kim is being unprofessional. I think that what she should have done, kind of like Cabal, MVP, and everybody else who requested their releases, she should have just requested her release, continued to work until, and if they said no, wait until your contract expired, which was going to expire in like November, December anyway. When it expires, walk out. But I think the reason she did it was so she could get released in time to compete at Bound for Glory. But she's not going to get to do that now. Now, as a friend told me, she's bound for nothing. It's true. Now she's going to have to sit out the rest of her contract as opposed to actually competing, which is a waste. She should have just continued competing. Who knows? She could have been part of this whole feud and been signing with Beth and such. But she ruined those chances because Vince McMahon hates when people do that, when people don't live up to their commitments, when people break out of their contract. One thing to ask out of your contract, that's fine. If they let you out, that's fine. But they let go. That's one of the reasons they let go of Melina, because Melina caused a lot of drama backstage all the time, so they let her go. Despite how good she is, she was always starting drama, and the same thing with Mickie James. Mickie James used to be cool and such, but then she dated John Cena, and then there were issues afterwards. John Cena broke up with her, and she was very, well, she caused a lot of scenes backstage that they had to send her over to SmackDown, and they ultimately buried her and released her.
Huh.
That's what Gail Kim, they're not even going to put her back on TV. She's done. She's just going to sit out the rest of her contract. It's her fault. She should have just waited it out or requested her relief. But instead, she walks out of the match. She requests to quit. Like, she says she quits. Okay, you quit. You can't just walk out. There's a contract here. You can't just say, I'm done. I'm going to go and take bookings elsewhere. You can't do that. You got to wait for them to grant you a release. That's the way it works. Yeah, I understand her plight. I'm sympathetic to it. I get that she wasn't utilized well. She wasn't. I agree 100%. I think she's one of the best, and she should be a champion, but they didn't utilize her well. But for her to say that the TNA Knockouts division is a lot better than the Divas division, I think is absurd, because the Knockouts division is not booked well at all. They had a feud between Madison Rayne and Mickie James, and they destroyed the feud because they had Madison Rayne beat her like 4 times in a row, and then Mickie James beat her in 5 seconds. What was the point of that? It's like getting that that Mickie James lucked out that one time. That was stupid. It was in a cage. They should have had a real match, but they didn't. It was a simple DDT, done. She wanted to. It was a stupid way to win it. They don't know how to book, and now Mickie James lost the title to someone else. I don't know. They don't know what they're doing. They have Mickie James. They can have Melina tomorrow. They can have Melina, and they still wouldn't book things right, because you can have, like I told you once before, they can get CM Punk, Alberto Del Rio, John Cena, R-Truth, Christian, Randy Orton. They can get the entire majority of the WWE roster, of the best, Sheamus, and all these, Rey Mysterio, and it would not help them at all in the ratings until the stories are compelling, until the in-ring content is compelling, and it's not. TNA's content is not compelling, and I'm not saying this because I'm a WWE fan. I am. I admit that. I'm biased to WWE, but I'm also a wrestling fan above all else. And if the wrestling isn't good, then I'm not going to really want to watch this programming. And I admit when WWE's programming is bad, yes, I'm a loyal WWE fan, so I'm able to give WWE a lot more leeway than I would TNA. But that's because I'm used to WWE. As for TNA, they have guys who can get the job done, but they're not doing it right, because they rather push a lot of the older guys as opposed to younger guys. And when WWE pushed, like did their youth movement, I didn't agree with it either, because I think they should do a talent movement, not a youth movement, not a youth movement. But the thing is, with TNA, a lot of their youth are very talented, like Matt Morgan and such, and they're not pushing them properly. They're not giving them the proper shots they deserve. You're not seeing Matt Morgan taking on Kurt Angle for the title. And when you do, you see Kurt Angle beat him very easily. It's stupid. You should have Matt Morgan actually get the victory and get the championship because he can be a compelling heel or a face champion. He's huge. He's a big guy. He can get the job done. But for some reason, TNA, Dixie Carter, her mind is always on Sting, who's currently doing a Joker-like gimmick, and Kurt Angle.
Oh,
And
God, really?
yeah, he's doing a Joker-like gimmick.
Well, color me not interested.
TNA. I mean, here's what's good about that thing though. About the Joker gimmick where he has his paint. He's talking kind of like Heath Ledger's Joker. What's good about it is that Sting act. It would be a horrible thing if Sting wasn't such a good actor. He does it so well that I believe it. That it's really good. It actually is good stuff. And like I said, I'm willing to say when something's good.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I mean, look at their roster. Look at how amazing their roster is. They have guys like Abyss, AJ Styles, Bubba Ray Dudley, well, Bully Ray here. They have D'Angelo Deliro, the former Elijah Burke. They have it's like Hernandez, who's pretty good. They have Jeff Hardy, Jeff Jarrett, Jerry Lynn. They got Kid Cash. They got Kazarian, another good wrestler. They got Angle, Matt Hardy, Mr. Anderson. Anderson, he's not the greatest wrestler in the world, but he's a compelling character when he's a heel. Matt Morgan, Rob Terry, another big guy, but he's very green. He's very, very green. TNA doesn't know how to train people up. He's very green. He'd be better off going to WWE, maybe forming some sort of a Welsh tag team with Mason Ryan, because they actually came up around the same time. So I think that Rob Terry and Mason Ryan would actually be a really good Welsh tag team in WWE. Two big muscle heads destroying all the competition. That could work if they get enough training. Rob Van Dam, another great wrestler. Samoa Joe, who is probably on the roster next to AJ Styles, one of the best, and they're treating him so poorly. They're treating him so badly. Joe, he hasn't been great since 2005. And that's when he debuted, and he started destroying everybody. He started choking people out, and Joe was at the pinnacle of his career, and now he's nothing but a joke, and it's sad. And Stone Cold Steve Austin recently said on Twitter that he feels that that if Samoa Joe ever tried to get into WWE, Stone Cold would have his back for that. He would have Stone Cold support, and that's a good thing because Joe is a great wrestler, and I think if WWE could get him, they could probably do something good. As long as they don't go to the whole idea of bringing that he's an island guy and he's a crazy island guy. That stuff needs to be pushed back. They're trying to do it again with the Usos. It's stupid. You don't need to do that. Just because you're Samoan doesn't mean you're like the wild Samoans. They need to stop looking at that and start looking at what is today. Samoa Joe, with guys like, he's friends with John Cena, he's friends with CM Punk, he has Stone Cold support. It could just be enough to get him to actually be treated properly. I mean, he's a big dude. He's not too fat. That's what's good. He's at a good weight. But he's Samoan, so he's always going to be a pretty good guy. But he's very good. He's 32, and hopefully TNA, he can get out of that TNA contract and come to WWE. But they have a strong roster. Sting, Scott Steiner. Despite Scott Steiner losing a lot of steps, he's not as good anymore. They got a strong roster, but yet they're not doing the proper booking. Like they had Beer Money versus on Sunday at their pay-per-view. I don't even know what pay-per-view it was, but they had Beer Money versus Mexican America, Hernandez and this other guy named Anarquia, and Mexican America lost. Why? They should have won the match, but instead they have it on Impact 2 weeks later. Mexican America wins. And with help from Jeff Jarrett and blah, blah, it's stupid. They didn't need that. They could have won it on their own. They don't know what they're doing.
James?
Yes?
How do we go from talking about Christian versus Randy Orton to a gigantic rant on TNA?
I apologize. Why did we get there? Oh yeah, I was talking about I don't even know why. I was
You were talking about people being unprofessional.
Oh yeah, Gail Kim. Yes, Gail Kim. For her to say that TNA is better than WWE. When Christian got to TNA, Just like months later, he wanted out of his contract, but he was under a 3-year deal. Once it expired, he was done.
Hmm.
Gail Kim, he came to WWE for the money, and she was getting paid a lot of money. And I understand the whole idea wanted to be more on TV, to get more wrestling time on TV, but she should have waited it out, and maybe she would have gotten something, but who knows what's going to happen now. Now let's talk about the main event. CM Punk, the WWE Champion, versus John Cena, the other WWE Champion. For the to unify the titles for the Undisputed Championship, Triple H would be the special guest referee.
First off, talk about the build up to it,
The
because
build-up,
we're both in agreement here. This is probably one of the best storylines WWE has done in God knows how long.
yeah, in a very long time. The last time I was ever this excited was probably '09 with the Jeff versus Punk stuff, and before that was '05 with the Matt Hardy versus Edge stuff, because it brought a sense of reality to it. Like Punk called it the reality era. It brought a sense of reality to things, because it's like Punk's whole style, his whole ideals are straight edge. He's against drugs and drinking and stuff. And Jeff Hardy is a guy who's a very liberal drug user. So it made for a very good feud. It brought ratings up. People wanted to see it, and it was good. But then WWE messed up with Punk after that by making him drop the title to Undertaker so quickly. But that's another story. As for this build-up, when it goes back all the way before Money in the Bank, obviously, and then Punk turned face somewhere between then and Money in the Bank, won the title, and then left. And then he came back. Triple H re-signed him, and he came back. And obviously, we know what really happened. Punk re-signed at Money in the Bank, and they did the whole storyline. But here's the thing: Triple H re-signed him, and now he's back. We have two WWE champions. Ray's gonna face the winner of that, but we'll get to that at another point. If that even happens, because I know Ray is having an injury right now. He's having an MRI in his knee. We don't even know if that's really gonna happen. It might not. It might not happen, but we'll see. But Punk versus Cena, this could go so many different ways. But once again, let me go back to the build-up. The last 2 weeks since Money in the Bank, since Punk returned, the build-up wasn't that strong. I wasn't a big fan. I liked when Punk came back and had the belt off with Cena, where Cena raised the belt, he got booed. Punk raised the belt, he got cheered, and the show ended. But then the next week, when it was Punk and Cena going back and forth with raising the belt, I thought that was stupid. It didn't need to. It didn't keep me pumped. And then last week on Raw, everything changed. Like the beginning of the show, it didn't get to me. I wasn't into it. And with Triple H saying he's gonna be special guest referee, I was like, oh, this match is gonna be horrible. And then you got Cena versus Swagger and Punk versus Del Rio. Cena versus Swagger, I thought that was another good Cena match, to be honest. I thought that was another good match for Cena, and I'm very critical of John Cena, if you heard me in the past. Very critical.
Oh, yeah.
But I thought he did pretty well against Jack Swagger. And that was a good, decent match for John Cena. It wasn't as good as his match with Ray or Punk, but it was a good match. And I don't often say, I usually say John Cena matches suck, but I thought it was a good match for what it was, which was basically just to push him and push Punk in for their match. And Punk versus Del Rio, wasn't as good, I guess, because I guess maybe, I don't know, maybe I
You
expect
expect more from you expect more
yeah,
from
you
Punk than you
expect
do
more,
from
but I
Cena.
think I understand why he didn't go all out. I guess he was saving all of that for the pay-per-view. I
Yep.
get it. So I guess because the bar is so much lower for Cena in terms of his competitive, this is why I like the Cena match, but because the bar was so high for Punk, I didn't like it as much. I'm guessing that's why. But I don't think it was a bad match. I just didn't like it that much. I thought it could have been better. But now the end of the show is when everything came together. Is when if I was someone who, if I had the money and I was saying I don't know if I'm going to order Money in the Bank, that segment, that final segment, made me say I'm going to order Money in the Bank. Sorry, SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
That final segment is what would make me say, hey, I'm going to order SummerSlam, because Punk and Cena, they decided to have their contract signing, and they basically made light of it. Punk said straight up, you know what happens at these contract signings. Someone gets put to a table or some other crap. Something happens where there's violence, and it usually does happen. So then Punk decided to show a clip of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson talking about John Cena and why he doesn't like him, and saying that John Cena is a phone. Dwayne Rock said Cena is a phony, and Punk said he agrees. Cena rebutted, and it was really good. And then CM Punk got on Johnny Ace's case, John Laurinaitis, Johnny Ace, got on his case he talked about the releases for Kozlov. For obviously, Melina is a person who's persona non grata. Really, Beth mentioned her, but Gail Kim's person is really persona non grata. They're not going to talk about her at all. But
Mm-hmm.
Melina, they referred to her in terms of the splits. But I guess this is why Punk didn't mention her because it was already mentioned by Beth. So
Yeah.
about Masters, Kozlov, and Harry Smith. Um, Asking why is it they got released? And or, not why, but did like Triple H call to release them? No, he didn't. It was Johnny H called and got them released and asked if he even said anything nice about it, and he got on his case for that. And John Cena said CM Punk came back to be the underground voice of the voiceless, but he really isn't. And Triple H said he agrees because all Punk is a guy who held the WWE up for just a couple more money and a couple of perks. And well, at that point, it was like, wow, that was a hard diss at Punk. But Punk said, well, you're right. He said they're right that he did hold him up because he does deserve the money. He does deserve the perks because he thinks he's worked his ass off enough to be at that level, and he's absolutely right there.
Mm-hmm.
And John Cena talked about how the fans say he should increase his work rate or he should
Let his heel persona shine through more.
let his heel persona shine through more. And he said something else I can't remember.
Add more moves to the 5 moves of doom.
Yeah, and he used that weird like internet nerd speak, that internet nerd voice when he said it. And he said, well, he's not, and he said straight up, he's never going to embrace the millions. He's never going to embrace Punk's fans. He's only going to have his fans. And that works. And then Punk said that, he once again went back to that Cena's opponent. He said that he's going to, that Cena is not going to walk out as champion, and only CM Punk will. John Cena said that Punk was right when he said that he's like the New York Yankees, which he was offended by as a Boston Red Sox fan. He said he's right, and I'm glad that finally John Cena realizes that he isn't the underdog. For since 2000, he's been acting like one. He isn't the underdog. He hasn't been in years. He's the top dog. He's the guy at top. He's the guy Ric Flair talked about when he said to be the man, you got to beat the man. John Cena is the man. He's the top dog. CM Punk, despite being WWE champion, he's not the top dog. For John Cena to be champion, he has to beat Punk. For Punk to be champion, he has to beat Cena again. And if he can do that again, he's proven he's solidified himself as a true WWE champion.
Yep.
Other than that, let me see, CM Punk, like I said, he said he's going to be champion. He signed it. Then John Cena told Punk straight up that the world is watching him now. And if he can't deliver, if he loses, then that's it. He's done. And I think Cena's right when he said that. Because right now, Punk put so much pressure on himself for what he said. And if he can't deliver, if he can't beat John Cena at SummerSlam, then I'm not sure what the future lies for Punk. Now, in terms of who's going to win, like I said, there's so many different ways it can go. And that includes Alberto Del Rio. I'm even going to include Daniel Bryan because WWE likes to go crazy sometimes. And they might do something shocking and have Daniel Bryan cash in. But I'm going to hold that back for a second and say one way it can go, the way we all want it to go. CM Punk beats John Cena cleanly, 1, 2, 3, wins the title. Another way it can go, John Cena beats CM Punk cleanly, Punk is done. Punk maybe turns heel again, I don't know. Another way it can go is...
we both know those two scenarios are not likely because of one reason and one reason only. We got Triple H as the special guest referee, and when there's a special guest referee, there's usually a screw job involved. Not always, but usually.
Yeah. So now let's talk about that screw job. Now that can go one of two ways. One is Triple H sides with Punk. They both turn heel on John Cena, and the Triple H gives Punk the victory. John Cena and Triple H turn heel on CM Punk and give Cena the victory.
The only problem with that statement is John Cena's never going heel.
Probably not.
Even if him and Triple H team up to screw Punk,
his fans will still like Cena.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that John Cena might go in a kind of a heel turn where he does screw CM Punk, but then he still caters to his own fans. It might be something new, something different, which could actually be pretty exciting if that happens.
What do you
But
mean?
here's what I think. Here's what I think is going to happen. Personally, here's what I think will happen. It might be a shocker. This is something different. I think CM Punk will beat John Cena and win the match. And after the match, Triple H will assault CM Punk, beat him, destroy him. Then Alberto Del Rio will come out, pin CM Punk. Triple H, as referee, still will count, and Del Rio will win. Whether or not Punk will kick out after the first one, which I think he should, in a shocker, and then Triple H assaults him some more, hits him with another pedigree, Del Rio pins him, or Triple H counts really quick, 1, 2, 3, fast count, Del Rio gets the win. The fans boo the entire match ending, because Punk did win the match, but then he got screwed in the end. Then the next night we see Del Rio going one-on-one with Rey Mysterio. And with Rey Mysterio's injury, I think that Del Rio will take out Mysterio in San Diego and solidify himself as a heel. Because if he does that, there might be a riot in San Diego. And he'd have to run out of it. So, and I think that would solidify Del Rio as a heel. Then I think in Night of Champions, we'll see John Cena versus Alberto Del Rio for the title. Whereas CM Punk will probably be gone from WWE for a while from the assault. Destroyed. And he'll return when the time is right. I think that he'll probably return maybe in New York City, CM Punk versus Triple H for in a one-on-one match. Maybe that could happen. What I would personally book, is, like I said, that ending where I said with Triple H assaults Punk, I would do that. Then I would have Ray versus Del Rio. I would have Ray win the title, I think, in San Diego, then lose it at Night of Champions. Then at the next pay-per-view after Night of Champions is out in October is, I think it's Vengeance. I think Vengeance brought back. I'd have CM Punk face Triple H at Vengeance as a marquee key match because CM Punk would want revenge. I would do that. I would have John Cena take on Alberto Del Rio, and I would have Del Rio beat Cena there somehow, some way. And then in New York City after that, I would have CM Punk take on Alberto Del Rio for the WWE Championship and have Punk win it, because this is New York City. The crowd would be all for Punk. He'd win the title. Then at TLC, he'd probably face him again, and yeah, you could see it. Maybe he would get screwed by Triple H again. I don't know. I don't know what could happen, but that's just a scenario in my mind. But I think that before we jump ahead of the gun, I don't think Brian's going to be involved in this, even though I think it could happen because WWE likes to go crazy. But I do think the most likely scenario here is that Punk will win. He needs to win in order to make him credible. If Cena wins and then he gets assaulted, that's a burial. If Punk wins and then he gets assaulted, that's not a burial. That's just bringing in a new match. And then Del Rio comes in and takes advantage. That's just what Del Rio does. He's a heel. It's a smart way to do it, especially with Del Rio losing to Punk and Del Rio beating Punk right after that. A bloody Punk pinning him. Because I've heard stories, I've heard rumors that Triple H might bust open CM, but it might not happen on Raw. I don't think USA will want to allow it because of the PG rating, like intentionally. Because if it happens by accident, stuff happens. You can't control it all the time. But if it's an intentional thing, it's USA Network, especially with the PG rating, might not be too happy. A lot of investors might not be too happy. But on pay-per-view, where they can get more leeway, where there is no network other than WWE themselves, they can get this done. And I think that would be the most interesting scenario. Have CM Punk miss the next pay-per-view, be gone for a while, injury, get destroyed by Triple H, sledgehammer, blah, 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 just completely massacred, left a bloody pool, and then Del Rio comes in, pins him. Even John Cena is shocked by what he does, because I think John Cena should be another guy who tries to stop Triple H and gets pedigreed in order to keep him as a face, I guess. He gets pedigreed, he gets taken out, maybe sledgehammer to the skull, and then Del Rio comes out, takes the title, and Triple H screws CM Punk this way, and the pay-per-view ends this shocking conclusion that they'll say that they can't even show on TV, that you gotta go to WWE.com, and they can't even show on WWE.com, you gotta go to YouTube to see it, or something like that. Like, they'll probably upload it themselves on YouTube, and they'll say you can watch it on YouTube, or something like that. They'll probably do something like that to help promote the storyline through the internet channels, which would be a smart thing to do, because you can't really show the blood. They'll be like, it's too graphic to be shown on TV. You gotta watch it on WWE.com or on YouTube, blah, blah, blah. You watch it there. They promote the storyline there with Triple H promo, and Triple H will probably have an address and explain why he did what he did, saying that in my opinion, what I think he'll say is that CM Punk is the reason why Vince McMahon lost his job. Because he held the company up for this, and it wasn't like he left for good. If he left for good, he wouldn't have an issue. But he came back, and it pissed him off because Vince McMahon was a brilliant guy who didn't deserve to lose his job, and that it was all CM Punk's fault, and his father-in-law, and it messed up, and he could make up something that it kind of put a strain on his marriage with Stephanie or something like that, put a small strain on his marriage, and he blames CM Punk for all of this, and that now he has more work to do, and when he wants to get back into the ring, he can't. Now he has to take care of the company. And so he decided to take out Punk, take out Punk and teach him a lesson. And I think, like I said, Punk misses Night of Champions, because what's the point? Why would he be a Night of Champions? He misses Night of Champions. Maybe he makes an appearance at some point. Maybe Triple H will be having a pay-per-view of some sort. Like, I don't know. Maybe he'll have a pay-per-view, like he'll be on the pay-per-view somehow. Maybe a referee again or something, or he'll make an address at the end of the show, and then, or something like that. I don't know. Something will happen. Triple H will come out, and CM Punk, I think, might make an appearance there, where he'll run out and attack him, and there'll be a whole brawl with security splitting them apart, security arresting Punk, getting him out of there. And then at Vengeance, it'll be Triple H returning to the ring to take on, one-on-one to take on, CM Punk. So I think that's what's going to happen. Because the Vengeance pay-per-view makes perfect sense. It's CM Punk wanting revenge, and it's to be a pay-per-view about getting revenge. Rumors also have it that Undertaker will be returning at that pay-per-view. So we might see, if Barrett does win the Money in the Bank briefcase, we might see Bryan win it back with the help of Undertaker, who might make a gong, and then Barrett's like, huh? And then he gets put in the crossface or whatever, the bell lock taps out, Bryan gets the case back, Undertaker, and then this would happen in the Champions, I think. And then Bryan gets the case back, and then Undertaker versus Barrett at Vengeance, I think. I don't think he's going to face Kane. I don't think he's going to face Heath Slater. Maybe Heath Slater will get involved in it. Or maybe it'll be like a preliminary match. Undertaker versus Heath Slater. He takes out Slater, and he goes after Barrett, one-on-one at Vengeance. So that's what I could see happening, personally. Because I know at one point it was Barrett was actually pegged to face Undertaker at WrestleMania, but I don't think that can happen at this point. I think it'll probably be at Vengeance.
Barrett would not be anywhere near credible enough to take on Taker at Mania.
No, but at
no
Vengeance,
chance in hell.
It makes sense.
It's going to take him at least another year just to get anywhere near credible enough to face Taker.
Yeah, because he lost so many matches. If he was on a winning streak, then yeah, but he lost quite a few matches, and so he doesn't have that credibility anymore. But I do see Barrett winning the match and then losing it at Night of Champions, probably with the Undertaker gong. He's probably going to use some underhanded tactic, and it looks like he's about to get the victory. He uses some underhanded tactic. He picks up Bryan for Wasteland, and then Undertaker's gong hits. The lights go out, lights turn back on, and then Bryan slips out, hits the LaBelle lock, Barrett taps, Bryan gets his case back. That's what I see happening. And then Undertaker does ultimately come out and then go after, and then choke slam Barrett or something, and then it leads to a match between them at Vengeance. I think that's going to be another marquee match, because you remember, Vengeance will be 1 year and a day to the point when Barrett and the rest of Nexus at the time, and Kane, buried Undertaker alive, and then Undertaker came back for WrestleMania, and now he's gone, so I think he's going to come back again for revenge on Wade Barrett, which he'll say, because Barrett kept talking about the big picture, maybe that was it, so I don't know. But I don't see Kane coming back, and if anything at Vengeance, we might see Mark Henry and someone else, maybe Ezekiel Jackson. I think it should be Ezekiel Jackson, a heel Ezekiel Jackson and Mark Henry taking on Kane and Big Show in a tag team match, probably. I know Kane and Big Show had issues with Ezekiel Jackson at one point. So we could see Ezekiel Jackson coming in, becoming heel, maybe helping Henry defeat. Like, remember you said Henry might defeat Sheamus? So maybe Ezekiel Jackson turns heel there and helps Henry defeat Sheamus.
Yeah.
Alliance with him becomes... Because both men could become a very dangerous tag team if they were together. So I think that at Vengeance we might see Kane and Big Show return and take them on in the tag team matchup. So, and we might also see another Randy Orton versus Christian match.
Fuck. No more.
So we might see that.
No more
Randy
Christian versus
Brody
Orton.
Clay versus Randy Orton for the title with a handicap match where Orton will probably pin Clay or something, and then Christian will say he didn't get pinned, he deserves a rematch, and then goes to TLC in a TLC match. Christian
No.
versus Randy.
I do not want to see any more Christian versus Orton. They've
But
had too many.
But that's just my assumption for the Vengeance pay-per-view. But I think Night of Champions will skip out on a lot of things. We're gonna skip out on that Night of Champions. Orton, I doubt, will be in a match, or maybe he will again. I don't know. Maybe number one contenders match with Brodus Clay. Will he'll win? I don't know. Sheamus will probably take on. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But right now, these are pretty much what I'm thinking will happen at SummerSlam. So I think, what are your thoughts on CM Punk versus John Cena?
CM Punk has to win. Not only am I biased against John Cena, but a lot of what you said is correct. If Punk does not win this match, it's a burial.
Yeah, Triple H attack him after the match. What's the point? He already lost. He needs to win in order to get a new storyline, in order to get a new feud. It's a win situation for Punk. If he cannot win this match, if he cannot win it straight up, just beat John Cena again, then, and I mean, even like, well, another possibility is that Punk does get the win, but Triple H doesn't count it. He stops counting, and then he pedigrees CM Punk. John Cena's like, I'm not taking the win like that. Triple H pedigrees John Cena. He drags him on top of CM Punk and counts a quick count to 3. We could see something like that.
That's also a burial.
It is, but he's attacking both men. But he's doing it mainly to screw CM. Or he could just pedigree him and then call a double disqualification or something. And then Del Rio comes out, I don't know. But that would be stupid to end the biggest match in probably SummerSlam history like this. It needs to end in a clean victory, and then if you're going to do anything, you do it right after that. I think that's the way to go. CM Punk, because it's more unexpected, it's more shocking it happens like that. CM Punk gets the win, Triple H raises his arm, his hand is up, Triple H turns him, hits him with the pedigree. John Cena gets up afterwards, and he's like, what are you doing? Pedigree to John Cena, throws him out of the ring, beats the hell out of Punk. And then Del Rio will come out and get the victory. John Cena will get pedigree too, and then Triple H will say that John Cena was just a victim of bad place at the wrong place at the wrong time, and nothing personal against Cena, but against Punk it is personal. You see something like that.
Yeah, but
that's to me would be the best way to do it without burying Punk.
Regardless, we both are in agreement. Punk has to win.
Yeah, even if he loses the title right after to Alberto Del Rio, he needs to beat John Cena. Because if he loses to Del Rio right afterwards, it would be because of Triple H. Be because Triple H screws him. And that's fine. But he needs to beat John Cena. If he loses to John Cena, then what's the point? There is no point. Because then I'd see Del Rio versus Rey Mysterio, with Del Rio being a full heel, Rey Mysterio being a full face, and Del probably winning with underhanded tactics, maybe causing an injury to Rey Mysterio to take him out because he already has the injury, so they might take him out for a couple of months.
Yeah.
Might see that where Del Rio takes out Rey Mysterio for a while, like he completely destroys him, ends him, or like during the match, Miz comes out and helps Del Rio destroy Rey Mysterio. And Rey Mysterio could then return at vengeance against Miz, maybe, and work his way up. I don't know. But I do think that if we don't get Punk versus Del Rio, I'm not sure it will be a great match if it's in New York City. We'll probably see Punk versus Triple H at Vengeance and probably at SummerSlam, at Survivor Series. If anything, if Punk versus Triple H is at Vengeance, Triple H would have to win for Punk to win in New York City. Because but I don't know if WWE wants to really put over. Triple H doesn't need to be put over as a heel. Him turning as a heel will be a good way to turn, but he would also need to pedigree John Cena, like I said. If he does that, the whole crowd is against him. And then it helps Punk as a face. Because I think if Triple H attacks Punk, a lot of John Cena fans are going to be for it until Triple H attacks John Cena. Then they're going to start booing Triple H, no matter what he does. Yeah. That's the best way to do it. So I think that Punk should beat John Cena, even if Punk loses to Del Rio, like I said, even if Punk loses to Del Rio right after, which I wouldn't be too fond of, but I can understand why they're doing it. but it would still keep Punk in a marquee match against Triple H. He would be in still in the top, even though it's not for the title. But he needs to beat Cena for the title straight up, and then the assault needs to happen, and John Cena tries to stop it, gets hurt, gets pedigreed or something, gets taken out. Then he works on Punk, bloodies him, destroys him. Del Rio comes out, people booing the entire match out. They're starting throwing garbage in the ring and whatnot. Del Rio pins CM Punk. Here's how I would do it. I would have Triple H count 1, 2. Punk kicks out somehow, and they're like, "What the hell?" And then Triple H assaults him some more, hits another pedigree. Del Rio pins him again. Triple H does a fast count and calls it out. And Triple H and Del Rio get the hell out of there before the riot starts. Because LA might riot over that, so they get the hell out of there as quickly as they can. They jump into some black limousine, drive off, no one can find them. And Punk will be in the ring bloodied, being taken care of by medical personnel. John Cena will probably walk out with him and be like, well, him and CM Punk never saw eye to eye. He don't think he'll say something like CM Punk didn't deserve that, probably to help the Cena fans get on Punk's side, which will be, and that he had another great match with Punk, and while he came on the losing end, Punk didn't deserve that. Punk should have, that Triple H crossed the line. And then Triple H tells John Cena that he should stay out of his business, and unless he wants to make it personal. And if he makes it personal, he's going to be very, very sorry, or something like that. And I don't know what feud John Cena would have next up. I would assume it's after Ray. Ray would get injured, and Cena would come and save Ray while Del Rio's injuring him. And then we would lead to, at Night of Champions, John Cena versus Alberto Del Rio for the WWE Championship. That's what I think it might happen.
Well, we've been rambling on long enough.
Yes, we have. How long has this been?
I won't know until we stop recording.
Right, but yeah, I think this is a quick recap. The unannounced matches, I think there might be up to 5 of them. Like I said, Money in the Bank briefcase on the line. Barrett versus Bryan for the SmackDown Money in the Bank briefcase, and I think Barrett would probably win with some underhanded tactics. And Michael Cole would obviously be really happy about that. But I'd be like, yes, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then the other match, I think there should be a scrum match for the Money in the Bank briefcase, which Alberto Del Rio should win at the last second. Like, you should see someone else about to win it, like John Morrison. That at the last second, Alberto Del Rio gets like a roll-up pin on somebody and gets it like maybe 5 seconds before the match ends. He wins it, just barely, and he walks out with it. You might see that. If it doesn't happen, that's fine too. If he's gonna go just cash in Money in the Bank, that's fine too. Depends. But like I said, up to 5. Other match I think should happen is for the United States Championship, the Dolph Ziggler versus
Alex Riley, and Alex Riley gets buried.
What I think could happen with that,
Riley's not winning that title.
He shouldn't win it. He's not ready for it. But I do think that maybe Alex Riley should turn back into a heel, because I can't see him as a face character. As a heel,
he was good as a face character when he was going against Miz, but that's about it.
Well, I think maybe Dolph Ziggler, because of how good he is, maybe he should have a face turn at this point. I think that Vicky Guerrero should screw Dolph Ziggler, and Alex Riley takes advantage of this. He wins the title, and people will probably not be too happy with it, and she sides with him, and Dolph Ziggler will probably turn face on that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe. Because I do think that we're gonna need someone like Dolph Ziggler to turn into a face. I think he could be a really good face, because of how talented he is. The things he can do. The Intercontinental title, we might see Cody Rhodes taking on Ezekiel Jackson again, and then Cody Rhodes retaining the championship. I don't know what will happen to him after that. Maybe he'll turn heel, join up with Mark Henry. I don't know. Maybe. In the tag titles, I said some sort of a tag team turmoil thing, and we should have new champions. I think maybe Ryder and Hawkins or the Usos should win the tag titles, and it shouldn't be Otunga. And I think Otunga and McGillicuddy need to be written out, especially Otunga. I just mentioned the 5 matches, and now the 4 announced matches: Kelly versus Beth. I think Beth needs to win, and if she doesn't win, then Kelly needs to win by using underhanded tactics and turn heel.
Agreed.
Mark Henry versus Sheamus. I think that
Henry needs to win this match.
All right, yeah, Henry should win the match, but I do think that he should do something uncharacteristic of him and use underhanded tactics or get some help from someone like Ezekiel Jackson.
No, Henry does not need anyone's help. If it's not a double, if it's not a no contest, then Henry has to win with underhanded tactics because Sheamus
He's a tough dude.
that and for
Yeah,
this the
I
feud
think that
Mark Hen
If Sheamus wins, it'll be
no if Sheamus wins the feud ends basically.
no. It depends on how he wins. If he wins a straight up pin, it ends. But if he wins by like Mark Henry walking out with a count out, or he wins by disqualification, the feud continues.
Well, yeah.
But I do not think there's going to be a straight up victory. I don't think Mark Henry's going to get a straight up 1-2-3. I don't think Sheamus is going to get a straight 1-2-3. It's going to end in a convoluted way. That's my prediction.
Christian and Orton. Christian needs to win, but you think Orton will?
Orton probably will. If WWE has any smarts, Christian will win with an enforcer like Brodus Clay or Ezekiel Jackson. Depends. But I think Brodus Clay might be better for this job. He's a really big dude. So I think that Brodus Clay should help Christian because there's no holds barred. Anything goes. So it's basically legal for Brodus Clay to come out and destroy Randy Orton. So I think that's what needs to happen. Randy Orton's put to the announce table, Christian, like with a slam or something. Christian pins him. Oh wait, I think it's pinned in the ring. So maybe a table set up, and Orton's trying to powerbomb Christian through it, and then Brodus Clay comes out and he fights with him and puts Orton to the table. Then Christian pins him 1-2-3. Then he leaves with his new enforcer. Then he says he pays off because he makes a lot of money. Blah blah blah. Whatever the case may be, Christian needs to win. If Christian's gonna win, he wins through with help. Not with this underhanded. Yeah, he's not gonna win underhanded tactics, but it doesn't really matter. He wins with help.
Yep.
Otherwise, Orton wins the match.
Cena versus Punk. No matter what, Punk has to win, or it's pointless.
Punk has to win straight up, clean victory, and whatever happens after the match happens. But like if Triple H turns heel, he turns heel after the match, not during it. Otherwise, that is a burial on Punk. He cannot be buried during the match. He has to be buried after the match. That won't really be a burial. He already won. It'd just be just a heel turn by Triple H, who beats the hell out of Punk, and Del Rio takes the title. Because I think that this is the night when Del Rio walks out the WWE champion. That's what I think. I really think that Del Rio's going to walk out WWE champion that night. Because I don't see John Cena walking out with the title facing Ray. Even though Ray versus Cena would be another great match, I don't see it happening again. I don't see Punk versus Ray happening again. I see Del Rio versus Ray and San Diego for the WWE Championship. I see, because that's a long-time feud, and this would be probably the close to final match, probably. That's what
my question is, why would Del Rio cash in knowing he has to defend the title the very next night?
Why would he cash in knowing he has to defend the title next night? Because maybe he might think to himself, well, I'll just get... he has Ricardo Rodriguez. He might think that he can beat Ray since he's done so before. Or get assault Ray afterwards, or that Miz will get involved because Miz is already in something with Ray. So he might think he has a better chance of walking out with the championship. So this might... Or maybe Triple H orders Del Rio to cash in, even if he doesn't want to or not, because he's the COO, the Chief Operating Officer. So maybe he gets on the mic, kind of like Vince McMahon did, and calls Del Rio out. And Del Rio pins CM Punk. He doesn't really have a choice. He has to do it. His boss told him to. So yeah, so that might happen. You're right in terms of what you said. Why would Del Rio want to cash in? Maybe he doesn't want to. Maybe he has to. Maybe Triple H orders him to. So that's the case. But in the end, I think that the end of the actual match of Punk versus Cena, Punk needs to win. He has to win. This is a must-win situation for him. If he loses, that's pretty much it. It's everything John Cena said. He's just going to be a loudmouth guy who just all talk. He needs to win the match. So my money, if I were a betting man, and I'm not a betting man, but I would put my money on CM Punk.
Agreed. Well, this has been fun, but we really need to stop recording now because God knows how long this has been going on for.
Yeah.
But we can probably do more things like this in the future.
Absolutely.
So
we can talk about the roster reveal after it's revealed on Saturday if you want.
All right. We can do a video like that, no problem.
I could do it maybe Monday. We could talk about the roster reveal. We could talk about who the. Well, I have some stuff to say, but I'm gonna save it for then.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, so we'll talk about it then.
I am Silver. He is James Max, and we'll see you guys around.
Peace.
Peace.